Hare Krishna. Could you give me book? Yeah, can you give me a third canto? I'm waiting for the book. Thank you. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudhirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances and to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan, and to Narayan, which is the supremest human being, and to Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. So today, we are going to read from the Srimad Bhagavatam. The Srimad Bhagavatam is like a following study after Srimad Bhagavad Gita. I don't know, we have a guest here, Brett, and it's the first time you're coming to a Bhakti Yoga program. Okay, welcome. And so Srimad Bhagavatam, the Bhagavad Gita is spoken directly by Lord Sri Krishna, and Lord Sri Krishna gives us instruction how to liberate ourselves. It gives us instruction about like what is our position here, what's material nature, who we are, Jiva, is giving also instruction about what is time, why is there time, like time that's crushing us all the time. He's giving instruction about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's giving us instruction about activities. So we have all those instructions directly spoken by Krishna. Bhagavad Gita means the song of God. Bhagavan is God, the one who owns all the opulences. And then Gita means song. So that's, and then the following study is Srimad Bhagavatam. And the Srimad Bhagavatam is so many stories about the devotees of Krishna and their relationship with Krishna. So first we hear from Krishna how to surrender to him. And then we hear about devotees who are surrendered to him and how to further our spiritual life. Like that. So that's where we are reading. We are reading from canto, the third canto, which is status quo. And we are at the very first chapter, entitled Question by Viduras. I didn't find my glasses, so I will use glasses that I found here. Yeah. Hopefully they're okay. Yeah, this seems to be okay. And we are on text 35. And we are going to read one Sanskrit word at a time, and you can repeat after me in chorus and response. Api, sweet, anye, cha, nija atma, daivam, ananya, vitya, samanuvrata, ye, ridika, satya atmaja, Charudeshna, Gada, Adaya, Shwasti, Charanti, Somya, Apisvidanyecha nijatmadaivam.
Apishvidanyecha nijatmadaivam.
Ananya vritya samanuvrataye.
Ananya vritya samanuvrataye.
Ridika satyam ajacharudeshna.
Vedika satyam ajacharudeshna.
Gadadaya swasti charanti somya.
Gadadaya swasti charanti somya.
Apisvidanyecha nijatmadaivam.
Apishvidanyecha nijatmadaivam.
Ananya vritya samanuvrataye.
Ananya vritya samanuvrataye.
Vidika satyam ajacharudeshna.
Vedika satyam ajacharudeshna.
Gadadaya swasti charanti somya.
Gadadaya swasti charanti somya.
Apisvidanyecha nijatmadaivam.
Apishvidanyecha nijatmadaivam.
Ananya vritya samanuvrataye.
Ananya vritya samanuvrataye.
Vidika satyam ajacharudeshna.
Vedika satyam ajacharudeshna.
Gadadaya swasti charanti somya.
Gadadaya swasti charanti somya.
Someone else would like to chant?
Apisvidanyecha nijatmadaivam.
Apisvidanyecha nijatmadaivam.
Ananya vritya samanuvrataye.
Ananya vritya samanuvrataye.
Vedika satyatmaja charudeshna.
Vidhi satyama jacharudeshna.
Gadadaya swasti charanti soma.
Gadadaya swasti charanti somya.
Apisvidanyecha nijatmadaivam.
Apisvidanyecha nijatmadaivam.
Ananya vritya samanuvrataye.
Ananya vritya samanuvrataye.
Vedika satyatmajacharudeshna.
Vedika satyamajacharudeshna.
Gadadaya swasti charanti somya.
Gadadaya swasti charanti somya. Anyone online would like to chant?
Apishvidanyecha nijatmadaivam.
Apisvidanyecha nijatmadaivam.
Ananya vritya samanuvrataye.
Ananya vritya samanuvrataye.
Vidika satyamajacharudeshna.
Vidika satyamajacharudeshna.
Gadadaya swasti charanti somya.
Gadadaya swasti charanti somya. Anandini?
Apisvidanyecha nijatmadaivam.
Apisvidanyecha nijatmadaivam.
Anya vritya samanuvrataye.
Ananya vritya samanuvrataye.
Vedika satyatmajacharudeshna.
Vedika satyamajacharudeshna.
Gadadaya swasti charanti somya.
Gadadaya swasti charanti somya. Hare Krishna. Now we are going to read one Sanskrit word at a time, and with a repeat, and then English translation repeat. Api,
Api,
as also,
as also,
sweet,
Slave.
Weather.
Weather.
Anye.
Anye.
Others.
Others.
Sha.
Sha.
And.
And.
Nija Atma.
Nija Atma.
Of one's own self.
Oneself.
Daivam.
Daivam.
Shri Krishna.
Shri Krishna.
Ananya.
Ananya.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Vitya.
Vidya.
Face.
Faith.
Samanuvata.
Samanuvata.
Followers.
Followers.
Yea.
Yea.
All those who.
All those who.
Vidika.
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 Satya Atmaja.
Satya Atmaja.
The son of Satyabhama.
The son of Satyabhama.
Charudeshna.
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 Gada.
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 Adaya.
Adaya.
And others.
And others.
Swasti.
Swasti.
All well.
All well.
Charanti.
Charanti.
Pastime.
Pastime.
Saumya.
Saumya.
O sober one.
Also one.
Translation. O sober one. Others such as Vidika, Chaudeshna, Gada, and the son of Satyabhama who accept Lord, and the son of Satyabhama who accept Lord Sri Krishna as the soul of the self and thus follow his path without deviation. Are they well? There is no purport, so I'm going to go to text 36. Api swadobhyam vijaya chutabhyam dharmena dharma paripati setum duryodhanota patyat yat sabhayam samrajya lakshmya vijaya nuvritya. Api,
Happy.
as also,
As also.
swadobhyam,
Swadobhyam.
own arms,
Own arms.
Vijay,
Vijay.
Arjuna,
Arjuna.
Achyuta,
Achyuta.
Achyutabhyam, sorry,
Achyuta.
along with Sri Krishna,
Along with Sri Krishna.
Dharmena,
Dharma.
on religious
On
principles,
religious principles.
Dharma,
Dharma.
King Yudhishthir,
Yudhishthira.
Paripati,
Paripati.
Mantin,
Maintain.
Setum,
Setum.
the respect of religion,
Respect the religion.
Duryodhan,
Duryodhan.
Duryodhan,
Duryodhan.
Atapyata,
Atapyata.
envied,
And envy.
Yat,
Yat.
was,
Was.
Sabhayam,
Sabhayam.
Royal Assembly,
Royal Assembly.
Samrajya,
Samrajya.
Imperial,
Imperial.
Lakshmya,
Lakshmya.
opulence,
Opulence.
Vijay,
Vijay.
Vijay Anuvrita,
Vijay. Nuvritya.
by the service of Arjuna.
By
The service of Arjuna.
Translation. Also, let me inquire whether Maharaj Yudhishthir is now maintaining the kingdom according to religious principle and with respect for the path of religion. Formerly, Duryodhan was burning with envy because Yudhishthir was being protected by the arm of Krishna and Arjuna, as if they were his own arms. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Maharaj Yudhishthir was the emblem of religion. When he was ruling the kingdom with the help of Lord Krishna and Arjuna, the opulence of his kingdom surpassed all imagination of the opulence of the kingdom of heaven. His actual arms were Lord Krishna and Arjuna, thus he surpassed everyone's opulence. Duryodhan, being envious of this opulence, planned so many schemes to put Yudhishthir into difficulty. And at last, the battle of Kurukshetra was brought about. After the battle of Kurukshetra, Maharaj Yudhishthir was again able to rule his legitimate kingdom, and he reinstated the principle of honor and respect for religion. That is the beauty of a kingdom ruled by a pious king like Maharaj Yudhishthir. I'm going to invoke auspiciousness with some mantras, invoking the spiritual master, invoking the Vaishnavacharya, Srila Rupa Goswami, servant of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, invoking auspiciousness from more again Vaishnavas, Guru, the 6 Goswamis, the associate of Lord Chaitanya, and then, of course, Radha and Krishna, invoking auspiciousness, attracting their attention here to be with us and to make sure that whatever we are speaking and whatever we are hearing is conducive for our self-realization. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnana Jala Shalakaya Chakshun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Shtapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Upakadamayam Dadati Swapadam Tikam Vandeham Shigu Shiyuta Padakamalam Shigum Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupa Sagatam Sagana Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Navadutam Parijana Saita Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitam Cha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagat Pate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gorange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansha Kalpata Rubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Sarasvate Deve Gauravani Pacharini Nirvesesha Shunyavadi Pastyachya Dejatarine Mukam Koti Vachalam Pangum Langati Kirim Sagum Yakrita Tamam Bande Sago Dejatarine. Hare Krishna. Dear devotee, I'm going to read the 2 verses again. English. O sober one, others such as Radhika, Shaudesna, Gada, and the son of Satyabhama, who accept Lord Shri Krishna as the soul of the self and thus follow his path without deviation, are they well? Also, let me inquire whether Maharaj Yudhishthira is now maintaining the kingdom according to religious principles and with respect for the path of religion. Formerly, Duryodhana was burning with envy because Yudhishthira was being protected by the arm of Krishna and Arjuna as if they were his own arms. Hare Krishna. So this is the story. We have many stories in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And here is the story of Vidura. Did you say something? Yeah. It's the story of Vidura. And Vidura, he was on the level of a king in a kingdom. He was like not the king, but he was like a king's man. And he was living in a palace, and he was like an amazing counselor. Why? Because he was capable of counseling people back to Godhead for liberation, to be able to be free from the circle of birth and death, be free from all miseries coming from other living entities, the misery coming from our mind, even the misery coming from, like the different natural disaster, war, earthquake, all that. So Vidura was capable of doing that. And he was living in a palace, and then at a time when there was kind of an intrigue, political intrigue between his brother, who was a king, and his nephew, who were supposed to be really ruling. He was kicked out of the palace in a very unceremonious way. In fact, he was very insulted by Duryodhana, his other nephew. He was insulted. He was like really put down to the ground, insulted, kicked out. And what he did, because he's a saintly person, he took that as an opportunity. He took that instead of like lamenting, fighting, defending, all those things that we usually do, like we want to defend, that's unjust, that's not fair, how dare you do that? He didn't do that. He said, wow, what a great opportunity. All those people are against me. I'm going off. I'm going off. I'm going to do exactly what I want to do. I'm going to meditate. I'm going to focus on spiritual life. I'm going on pilgrimage. I'm going to meet with saintly people. I'm going to read Srimad Bhagavatam. I'm going to read the Bhagavad Gita. I'm going to spend time doing that because that's a great opportunity. If they don't want me, I'm okay with that because I'm just here to serve. And if they don't need my service, then I'm going to do other service because our first duty is service, hearing and chanting, like this morning with Chanchapa together. And this is a service, 100% is complete. There is no need for any other service. Sometimes in the name of service, we may run around like chicken without head, doing. But service is not really intrinsically about doing. It's about glorification. What we read this morning after Japa, we read about everything is about kirtan, about glorification of the Lord. So our activities are valuable if they are glorifying the Lord, and our speech are valuable if they are glorifying the Lord, and our ears are valuable if we hear the glorification of the Lord. So Vidura, he knew that, and so he left and he went on pilgrimage. And here we are like fast forward about 30 years. We are fast forwarding about 30 years. And after being on pilgrimage, and probably he heard from different sages what's happened, but he met Uddhava. Uddhava is a cousin of Krishna. In fact, Uddhava is said to be extremely intelligent and to be very, very beautiful. He looks very much like Krishna. And he has a superior intelligence because he has been trained by Brihaspati, and he's really, so Uddhava used to be the counselor for Krishna. Krishna in Dwarka, he will ask from Uddhava, what should I do in this situation? And in this situation, and Uddhava will be the one who could combine situation instead of either or. He was always showing how this and that can be done. So he meets Uddhava in one of his pilgrimage, and in many culture, it's lost now, but in most culture, like Prabhupada was asked one about like, what do you think about American culture? And he said, that would be a good idea. So it's in many culture, where there is culture, it's proper to, when we meet someone, to ask them, like I can see like in a Muslim culture, in older culture, in India, it's always like that. When we meet someone, we inquire, how is your mother doing? How is your father doing? And what about your brothers? What about, like we inquire about the welfare, not simply their welfare. Hey, what's up? How are you doing? No, we inquire about the welfare. And that's very cultural to do that, to inquire about the welfare of the family, the people who surround the people, like to know, to really be caring, to be caring. So Vidura is doing that. And not only is he doing that in a cultural way, but he's doing that because he knows that Uddhava, he knows about the Lord and his devotees. And the ultimate goal of life is to constantly hear and chant about the Lord and his devotees. So Vidura knows that, and he meets Uddhava, and he said, how those Krishna faring, and Krishna's mother and Krishna's father, how they are faring, how they are doing. And here he's still asking about Krishna's children. all of them, and they are so fortunate because they are Krishna children, because they are so focused on Krishna that they get to take birth during Krishna's pastime in Dwarka as his children, and they are very focused. And now what are they doing? And then here we come to a transition in his inquiry, where he starts to inquire about his own family. Devotee of the Lord, like Yudhishthir, and Yudhishthir with his nephew on the other side, that the political intrigue was plotted against, really, like 30 years ago. So that's the context of what we are reading, the story of the context of what we are doing, reading. And in that context, you know, I'm going to go for a little Mahabharat stories, not too much, but just a little bit. So the Pandavas, the King Yudhishthir that we are asking about here, Arjuna with the devotee to whom Krishna speaks the Bhagavad Gita, so it's the major devotees that we know. And so there are 5 Pandavas, Yudhishthira, Arjuna being 2 of them. Very early in age, they became fatherless, so orphan, fatherless. They had their mother, but they didn't have a father. And because of that, they were raised by their uncle, and their uncle, you know, took charge of the kingdom, took charge of the Pandava. However, the uncle's own children, headed by Duryodhana, that we are hearing about here, were very jealous of the Pandavas, because they were scared that the Pandava will take their rightful claim of the kingdom, and they wanted the kingdom. They didn't want the Pandavas to have the kingdom. So they tortured them in childhood. They really tried to destroy them. And then when they were teenagers, they tried to kill them with poison. They tried to kill them by burning them. They tried to kill them in so many ways. And the burning part was like they were asked to go on vacation to a Shilak house. And the Shilak house was put into fire, and Shilak burned very quickly, like that, because it's full of a very flammable essence. And they escaped because of Vidura, because Vidura wanted to protect his nephew, and he told them that, you know, that's a plan. They are going to burn you down. And they escaped through a tunnel. And for a while, they were incognito until until the Swayambar of Draupadi. Swayambar is a place where a lot of princes come to get the hand of a beautiful woman. And Draupadi didn't want anyone. She wanted Arjuna to be. And so Arjuna, even though he was in disgrace because they were hiding after, you know, surviving being burned, everybody else was thinking they were burned, but they were hiding during that time, and nobody knew that they were alive. So Arjuna went to the Swayambar dressed as a Brahman, and it was the only one who was capable of, you know, like winning the contest. Swayambar is a woman. She said, okay, I want to be married, and here is what I want for my husband. That's the Vedic system, where the woman, she said, okay, I want a strong warrior, I want whatever. And then she created, with the help of her father, she created a contest. She created a contest that really is going to show the prowess of the one who is qualified, really qualified to have her. That's what it is. Like, okay, I'm going to have a qualified man because I'm a qualified woman. That's how it goes. And so, she got Arjuna because that's the one she wanted, really. And then because King Drupad was very influential, he was, you know, powerful, he was an allies with the Yadu dynasty, then at that time, you know, the Pandava came back to the surface of the globe, and everybody was like, oh, you are not dead, and they pretended like being sorry about it. But anyway, at that time, they were on edge, they came to edge of ruling the kingdom. And so they approached their uncle and said, well, it's time for us to take the kingdom because that's our rightful inheritance from our father, and we are the one we are supposed to rule because they were also qualified according to Krishna, because they were upholding religious principle. And Duryodhana at that time, he was not around. So Dhritarashtra said, well, influenced by Duryodhana, they say, okay, you can rule there. And they send them to a desert where there was nobody, nothing was growing. It was a complete like no man's land. And they say, okay, yes, you can rule. Because the Pandavas, they were so humble, their rightful was to rule the entire earth. They were supposed to become the emperor, not only of one country, but the entire earth. And they were qualified to do that. There was unity there, and unity was around spiritual life. Because when every human being is very, very focused on spiritual lives, then there is natural unity. So the ruler at the time, they were rishis, sages, Raja, Rishi. Raja means kings, Rishi means sage. So kings that were sages. And they were capable of ruling the entire earth for fulfilling the purpose of human life, which is to go back to Godhead, to emancipate ourselves from the shackle of birth and death and the suffering of this world. And they were so humble that they didn't even ask for that. Just say, okay, it's time for us to rule, give us something to rule. And maybe the right thing to do for Dhritarashtra was saying, okay, I'm retiring, I'm going to the forest, I'm going to focus on Krishna, and you rule now. But Dhritarashtra was so greedy, his son was so greedy that he didn't say that. So he sent them to some Indraprastha, which was a desert basically. And he sent them there. And what's happened is quite remarkable, is that just within a few years, Indraprastha became really a flourishing kingdom. And even it says in a purport here that he became more opulent than the king of heaven, more opulent than Indra himself. That's how opulent it was. And an architect from Maya, an architect from the demigods came and built the whole city. There was a lot of tricks and illusion in the city. You know, that's another story. But so it was so opulent and so abundant, more abundant in like, why? Because they had Krishna on their side. It said at the end of the Bhagavad Gita, where there is Krishna and where there is Arjuna, there will be victory and abundance and opulence. So if we have Krishna and Krishna's devotee, surrender devotee on our side, then everything manifests. And King Yudhishthira, here is described as Dharma. In fact, his name is Dharma in a word for word. He said Dharma, and he said King Yudhishthira. And King Yudhishthira is the son of Dharmaraj. He is the son of Dharma personified, demigod Dharmaraj is his father. And as a king and emperor, he was capable to rule people according to their whatever position they were, according to Varna and Ashram, to rule people in such a way that we are leading them to understand the purpose of human life and to elevate themselves little by little to full liberation and complete association with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So here, Vidura is inquiring. I think he kind of knows, because for 30 years he heard rumors about the war that's happened, because after they got the kingdom so opulent like that, Duryodhana's envy increased. He was so envious and greedy that he didn't give them their due kingdom. But then when they became so successful, his anger and greed and envy became really, really agitated, very, very agitated, like when we are agitated by someone. Usually it's due to our lust, anger, or greed. That's enemy. No matter what agitation is happening for us, we can retrace them to one of our 6 enemies. Anger, greed, illusion, madness, and envy. Like that's all it is. So Duryodhana was red, and then he challenged them on a gambling match, and from that gambling match, everything took place, and that's why Vidura left the kingdom. We're not going to go into that story. And here, Yudhishthira Maharaj is presented as having two arms. You have Krishna and Arjuna. So Krishna tells us at the end of the Bhagavad Gita, like Sanjaya really, that if we have Krishna and Arjuna, then everything is going to come to us. So Krishna and Arjuna were the two arms of King Maharaj Yudhishthira. And Srila Prabhupada points that out, that his kingdom was surpassing the imagination of the kingdom of heaven. So when Maharaj Yudhishthira was installed, then he was ruling people and bringing them to the highest Dharma. The word Dharma means that which cannot be separated from a thing, as that which sometimes it's translated as religion, and it has different meaning. Sometimes it's religious principle, dharmic religion, and also sometimes it refers to temporary dharma, like our duties, responsibility, or sometimes it also refers to a sub-religious principle, like being truthful or being clean, or all those. And really, dharma at the core is that which cannot be separated from a thing. So, for example, that which cannot be separated from fire, Srila Prabhupada explained, is heat. We cannot separate the heat from the fire. And that which cannot be separated from sugar is sweet. We are not going to find sugar that's not sweet. So that which cannot be separated from the soul, the living entities, is service. So we are going to serve. We are going to serve somebody. We are going to serve. It's just we are going to serve. So now we want to look at where are we directing that propensity to serve. I'm serving all the time. I'm not going to not serve. That's just not possible not to serve. Maybe I'm serving my country. That's nice. Maybe I'm serving my family. That's nice. That's dharmic too. And maybe I'm serving the kingsman in other ways, humanitarian ways. Maybe I'm serving my dog. So many people walk their dog every day. And maybe I'm serving my senses. Like, okay, what do you want, senses? I'm going to give you whatever you want. Maybe I'm serving my stomach. Maybe I'm self-serving, self-absorbed, self-serving, whatever. The propensity to serve is always there. And now we want to understand what is the direction to direct that propensity in a way that's Sanatan. And Sanatan means eternal. So everything else, even my senses is going to be temporary. My community is going to be temporary. All those dharma, they have a beginning and an end. Even most religion have a beginning and an end. It starts at a certain time, at a certain time, and it ends at a certain time. Christianity started with Christ. Muslim religion started with Muhammad, and like that. So there is a beginning, and when there is a beginning, there is an end. So all those religions, they are temporary. So what's eternal? Sanatan Dharma. So that's what we are looking at. Sanatan, something that's eternal, something that we are never going to be in a place of lamenting because it's gone, or never going to go into frustration because I want it, and my senses are so agitated. So what is Sanatan Dharma? The Sanatan Dharma is service to Lord Krishna, devotional service to Lord Krishna, to direct our propensity to serve towards the reservoir of all attraction and the reservoir of all pleasure. And when we do that, it's like every other dharma, we can compare them to watering the leaves and the twig of a tree. So when I water if I only focus on watering the leaves or the flower or the twig of the tree, then the tree is going to die. So those temporary dharmas, they are considered like that, putting effort to something that's temporary, putting effort to something that's going to disappear. It's going to disappear with time, sooner or later, and for sure it's going to disappear at the end of this body. So there is no escape to that. And the Sanatana Dharma, eternal religion of service to the Lord, is compared with watering the root of the tree. And when we water the root of the trees, then naturally all the twigs and all the leaves and all part of the trees are nourished and taken care of. We don't need to endeavor independently from serving the root of the tree, because everything else is served. So it's not like we are not going to spend time maybe washing the leaves. However, we are not independently going to focus there, endeavor in that direction, because we know better, because this process is for us, like to use buddhi yoga term, to use intelligence, to use buddhi, like buddhi yoga, the yoga of intelligence. It's a yoga of intelligence. I'm using my intelligence. Why will I spend time cultivating things and giving my energy and my service to something that's going to be disappearing? It doesn't make sense. If we use a little bit of intelligence, it doesn't make sense. Why will I do that? Sounds like a waste of time. Shrama eva kevalam, a useless waste of time, because it's going to disappear. The result is going to go away. There is no eternal result. So by watering the root of the tree, we serve all Dharma. By serving Krishna, by serving the roots of our existence, the cause of all causes, the source of our every being, the source of us, because we are part and parcel of Krishna, then naturally we serve everything. And by serving the reservoir of pleasure, naturally we become happy. You know, I was thinking happiness and distress, they come and go like winter and summer season. In the Bhagavad Gita said, just one need to tolerate them without being disturbed. And in the same way that we don't make plan for misery, there is no point of making plan for happiness. Happiness comes and goes. It's according to our karma anyway. So where to find eternal happiness is in Rama, in the reservoir of happiness. And by doing that, then all the opulence come. So King Yudhishthira here, he was able to show that. He was able to show that Savai Pumsa Parodamo Yato Bhakti Adokshaje Ahaitukya Patiyata Yatma Supasidati. So Savam Pumsam Parodharma, so Savam, like the ultimate Dharma, the ultimate Dharma. Is to serve Adokshaja. Adokshaja is the transcendental Lord, like just to serve the transcendental Lord. And to serve that to give devotional service to the Lord, that's the supreme Param Dharma, supreme service, ultimate service, most important service, only service. Because we always serve Krishna in a sense, and we can serve Krishna indirectly and just being a puppet in the hand of Krishna's energy, Maya, Krishna's, prison holder, or we can serve Krishna directly, because we are going to serve Krishna in all our endeavor, but how we serve Krishna is not going to be necessarily pleasing to him. And by pleasing the Lord, then we are all like by watering the root of the tree, all the leaves are taken care of. By pleasing the Lord, not only we get satisfied, but also we served everyone else. Like every devotee, everyone here is serving humanity. Everyone here in this room, everyone listening to the Srimad Bhagavatam is serving humanity in a way that's inconceivable, in a way that's deeper than any temporary service that we could render. Because even if we feed the body of a poor person, not that we shouldn't feed the body of a poor person, that poor person is going to die. And if we support a person by ourselves, showing an example of liberating ourselves, then we liberate everybody else with us from the birth and death. And of course, one way to do that with poor people who are hungry is to distribute the Lord's remnants, the Lord's prashadam, the Lord's mercy in a form of prashadam. So an example of a king that's very alive for me, because I'm reading the 4th canto right now. And I just read last week, I was reading about King Prithu Maharaj, another king. There's so many stories in the Bhagavatam, they are so amazing. King Prithu was born of a father that was completely demoniac, King Vena. King Vena was torturing animals when he was a child. And when he came to rule, he was a ruler, he was the son of King Anga, and King Anga was perfectly correct, like Vaishnav king. But his son, King Vena, was extremely violent, cruel, and of course, his citizens were very much suffering, so much so even that Mother Earth, during the reign of King Vena, she withdrew her opponents. She withdrew everything because Mother Earth was so disturbed by what was happening that she decided, I'm not going to give to them anymore because it's too demoniac. And so the sages, even though they don't have weapon, they have Brahma Teja. Brahma Teja is a power we achieve when we are completely realized in Krishna. Because when we realize ourselves in Krishna, even in this body, our body gets spiritualized and we can be completely liberated in this body. And when we are liberated in this body, we are not anymore under the rule, regulation, and laws of material nature. So then our power is unleashed. The power of the soul, as Satchitananda, is unleashed. So those Teja Brahman, Teja Brahma is like the power of the Brahman. They killed him by mantras. They killed the king because the king, they first tried to go to him and say, well, you know what you're doing is going to be really bad for you. You're going to end in an hellish planet. Don't do that. And plus, you know, if you serve Krishna and if you serve population, you will be glorified even after your death. But King Vena said, go away. I don't want to listen to you. And in fact, I'm going to stop all your sacrifice. I'm going to destroy you. And so the Brahmins, they destroyed him. And then somehow, we won't go into details, they manifested his son with Prithu Maharaj. And Prithu Maharaj came as a Shaktivesh avatar, which is a Shaktivesh avatar is a very empowered living being, Jiva soul, that comes with a very specific mission. For example, Lord Jesus Christ is a Shaktivesh avatar. He came with a very unique mission, and he was sent by Krishna with his unique mission, and he was completely empowered in that mission. Srila Prabhupada is also considered a Shaktivesh avatar. He was sent with a very specific mission, and he was fully empowered. In less than 10 years, it spread Krishna consciousness all over the world. Africa, Asia, how it's called, Eurasia? Like, no, what is called where there is Australia and New Zealand? What's the name of the continent there in English? Do you know? Anyway, okay, I'm not the only one to be ignorant.
Over that way.
Huh?
Over that way.
Anyway, yeah, so that continent there. So all the continents, Srila Prabhupada spread Krishna consciousness on all continents. And, no, it's the continent.
Australia. Australia is the continent.
Australia is a continent. And what about New Zealand? There is a continent that include all that, you know, like Europe. Europe includes England, even so it's a continent. Yeah, anyway, it's okay.
It is
it's not that
Australia.
important for our discussion. Huh?
It's Australia for all of it. New Zealand and all the whole thing is Australia. The whole thing is
Oh,
Australia.
it's called Australia. Okay. Thank you, Dao. So
Yeah.
not something Australia. Okay. In French, we have a different word for all the continents. And in Czech too, in Czech Republic, we have a word too. Yeah. So anyway, that only a very, very empowered Jiva can do that. Only a very empowered Jiva can spread Krishna consciousness all over the world, the way Srila Prabhupada did. And Srila Prabhupada, he could see that, okay, this world is not pious. This world is ruled by ignorant leaders who have no clue where to lead people. It's amazing that if we were to ask any leader of any country and really sit with them and say, what's the goal of your leadership? Where are you bringing the people? They will probably have no clue. Like they will not even have a sense like, okay, for everyone to have more TVs. Maybe some will respond that, to have more power of buying, power of consumerism. Maybe some will say that. Maybe some will say, oh, for everyone to be happy. Maybe. But most of it, I think, my sense from observation is that they don't even have that. They don't even have a sense of stepping out of the management of crises to really see what's the role of a leader of a country. It doesn't exist. It's not included in our modern society to even do that. So Srila Prabhupada, that's what he was dealing with, countries that were mismanaged, misled by the rulers. So he didn't have the opportunity to just, follow a Raja Rishi, someone who was really determined to rule kingdom in order to bring spiritual emancipation to the citizen. And Srila Prabhupada took that role on himself. And he spread Krishna consciousness all over the world, understanding that for him, he had to go to the essence. He couldn't, really teach us Dharma, teach us any of the four legs of religion. Four legs of religion is the ability to do austerity. We cannot really do that. Even getting up at 4:30 in the morning or 4 in the morning, it's so hard for us. And for most of yogis of different age, that's not even an austerity. It's not even an austerity. It's like brushing teeth. It's not an austerity. So for them, getting up at 4 or 3 or 2 a.m., it's not even an austerity. So our power to do austerity is so small. Even like a cold shower is so intimidating. Getting up in the morning is so intimidating. Following Ekadasi or doing fasting is so intimidating. So we have no ability to do that. And Prabhupada understood that. And we have like four pillar of religion. So it's austerity and non-violence. Like that's not going to happen. There is a war right now starting there. There is always war on earth. Like wars that are nonsensical, like ego wars, like the war that's going on right now in Ukraine is all about ego, big false ego, big sense of greed and ego and envy and power thirsty. And of course, how can we claim to be nonviolent when all the time animals are being mercilessly slaughtered. For what? For the satisfaction of our tongue. There is no need. There is no need to be killing animals. So we are not capable of mercy, compassion, non-violence. That's another leg of religion that no, it's not going to happen. Like we have too much envy in our hearts. We were seeing how the difference between Yudhishthira Maharaj, who is very righteous and benevolent to people of his age, to people of this age is that like a devotee, the way I think is that if someone is successful, I'm so happy. If someone has more than I have, I'm so happy. If someone has more knowledge than I am, I'm so happy. If someone has more ability to be austere than me, I'm so happy. If someone is more advanced spiritually than me, I'm so happy. Someone has more money than me, I'm so happy. That's the way devotees think. And then the material consciousness is like, if someone has more than me, I'm very miserable. I'm so miserable. If they know more than me, I'm miserable. If they have more than me, financially, I'm miserable. If they have more knowledge than me, I'm miserable. I just want to compete and I need to put them down. So that's, like that, of course, your Prabhupada said, of course, we will not say that, but the materialist mentality is to be really happy at the misery of others and sad at the success of others. So Yudhishthira Maharaj, that's not who he is, he's Dharma. So he's coming from a place of really feeling the suffering of the living entities. And the other day I was at the spring and I met a devotee and he was sharing with me how is according to people in his life see him as a gentle, charismatic, giver, compassionate, sincere. And he was telling me all that. And I know it's true because I know this person. That's how I experience that person too, and most of the world. And he was saying, I wish I could feel the pain of others. I wish I could feel the pain of humanity, suffering of complete lack of spirituality. Like Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur, who is the spiritual master of Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, said, there is only one problem here. There's only one problem. There is not many problems on this earth. There's only one problem. It's lack of Krishna consciousness. And if we could see that and feel the pain of that, deeply feel the pain of that lack of Krishna consciousness, in a sense, one way for me that help me develop that sense of pain and urgency is to feel so fortunate every day that I get up in the morning, every day that I have an opportunity to chant, at 5 a.m., every day that I chant 16 rounds, every day that I follow the four regulative principles, every day that I get to reach Srimad Bhagavatam, and feeling every day that I can live my life in Bhakti Yoga, and feeling the joy of that, feeling how special and privileged I am. I am so privileged. We are so privileged. Life without Krishna consciousness is a life living in vain and so empty. And I hear that all the time when I do coaching. All the time, people feel that emptiness, that what's the point? Sorry, there is none. That's the truth, there is none. What's the point? What's the point? There is none. And until we come to a place of really understanding the big picture, then yes, it's so meaningful. Everything we can do every moment. And this morning I was chanting and I was remembering as a child, one thing I really love doing is that I will just leave my house and walk. I was very free. Nobody was taking care of me. So I would just walk in the street. I was in the, like a outskirt of the city, not a suburb like you imagine America. It was kind of crummy. It was more like big building with millions of people living on the top of each other. But anyway, I will go in the street and I will say, I had no goal. I will go nowhere. And I remember having a feeling inside that there is a star and there is another way of life. I don't know what it is, but it's very different. And this morning, as I was chanting, I was remembering that child that believed in something different, believed there is another way of living. And I'm feeling fortunate that I didn't get stuck in phantasmagoria or in illusion or in how it's called when you see everything rosy. What's the word? Utopia. Like utopic, like, oh, everybody will love each other and no racism and all that. I didn't get stuck there. I'm really glad that Krishna and Srila Prabhupada kind of saved me from that. And then as I was chanting, I realized this is it, alternate way of life. This is the ultimate alternate perspective and way of life that's fully fulfilling. So from that place of seeing that how fortunate I am to have Krishna consciousness in my life, regardless level or degree that we have it, it's still, if we are here, it's because we have, we are always Ananda Maya Bhyasat. We always want happiness. We are a pleasure-seeking living entities. So we are here because we derive some satisfaction, fulfillment in some ways. And by understanding that, naturally, we will feel like those who don't have it, those who don't have that Sanatana Dharma, that service to God. It doesn't mean necessarily chanting Hare Krishna. They can chant the name of Allah. But those whose life is devoid of understanding the purpose of human life, to understand that service to God is ultimate, to feel the pain of that. To really feel deep pain of that, very, very, very deeply feeling it, and then acting from that pain. I'm going to stop here. I had bought the first canto to speak to hear about Patu Maharaj when he gave instruction to his citizen. It's very beautiful, but basically what he said to the citizen, he said, focus on Krishna. He speaks to all his citizens. He gives them, he gives them a lot of varieties of ways. But basically, he said, what I want from you, citizens, is that you focus on Krishna and nothing else. And he's emperor of the world. So I'm going to stop here because it's time to stop. O sober one, others such as Ridika, Shaudesna, Gada, and the son of Satyabhama, who accept Lord Sri Krishna as the soul of the self, and thus follow his path without deviation. Are they well? I imagine they are well, if they have Krishna as the soul of their self. Also, let me inquire whether Maharaj Yudhishthira is now maintaining the kingdom according to religious principles and with respect for the past of religion. Formerly, Duryodhana was burning with envy because Yudhishthira was being protected by the arms of Krishna and Arjuna, as if they were his own arms. Hare Krishna. Thank you for listening. And I welcome comment, conversation, question, realization, anything you would like to share. Hare Krishna. How was that for you, Brett?
Lots of information.
Yeah, it's kind of overwhelming.
Nico gave me tons of stories yesterday free, so I was able to like skeleton of some of the stories to go off of.
Yeah, it's a lot of information. And what's beautiful is about the healing process. It's not about understanding, and it's not about acquiring knowledge in a sense, and it's not about memorizing. It's about hearing. And it's perfect. Our hearing is perfect. Often I read the Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada, who is on the transcendental platform, speak. I don't understand anything. I don't acquire knowledge. I don't remember anything he says. Couldn't repeat it here. But I feel so purified in my heart. Anything else you like to share?
No.
Nico?
Yeah,
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you. I'm feeling grateful for the class. Yeah, I'm just like resonating or thinking about the metaphor, like the fish out of water metaphor. Dear Govinda gave us so beautiful last week or something. Yeah, you have a fish and you put it in a beautiful house and you give it an amazing, beautiful partner and a job with the highest, company, Fortune 500 company, great stock investments, and their football team wins the Super Bowl, and they have a puppy. And what's the fish gonna do?
Beautiful spouse.
A beautiful
fish.
spouse, yeah, beautiful spouse fish, beautiful fish kids,
And they're cool.
and their kids are gonna go to a great college, and yeah, what's the fish gonna happen to the fish out of water? It's gonna die. And like when I hear you say, like, you know, you coach all these people and they're like in this deep misery, like in this deep illusion. And they're kind of like, what's the point? And you're like, there is no point. And I like just want to highlight
I don't say that.
What? Yeah,
I don't say that to
that.
that.
Yeah, I know. But like what I'm getting at is like, I'm hearing like, there's no point of life without God. Like there's no point of life that's just only for me. Like there's no point of just feeding the hand or just watering the leaves. Like there becomes purpose. Like all this philosophy is very pessimistic about material life, which is only, you know, sense gratification, feeding the hand, watering the leaves. But it becomes meaningful and filled with pleasure and filled with joy if we turn that and if we dedicate our lives to hearing and chanting.
Yeah. So as long as we put endeavor where, you know, in anything that's temporary, then it's wasted. It's a wasted effort. Like why putting like if I knew that, you know, like if I knew that the effort I'm putting now in making money will lead me that maybe 20 years down the road, there is a big economic crash and I'm losing everything I made during those 20 years. What would I do? I knew that all the effort I'm putting in places that are temporary, if I really realize that it's going to crash or go away, so then what will I do? And then I can ask question at the Brahma Vigyasa at the beginning of the Vedanta Sutra. Then I will ask question. If it's not about putting effort to things that are temporary, then what is life about? What am I supposed to do? Who am I? What's the purpose of this life? And everybody has life. Yeah. So and the fish purpose is to be in water. If he's outside of water and he has everything, the fish is going to die. It's not going to be happy. And we see that, you know, like I have clients who don't need to work one day of their life, who have all the finances, they are full, their bank account is full, and they are miserable. And then I have also clients who try to convince me that the reason they are miserable is because they have no money. Well, I'm sorry, but I don't believe you. Because I know someone who has plenty of money and they're not happy. So yes, you can be there. Of course, the things that for them who have a lot of money, then happiness means something else, like a super power partner or something. Yeah. Thank you, Nico, for your comments. Anything else?
I'll share. Yeah, it is Damayanti and I briefly exchanged, you know, some just kind of thoughts and about, like, you know, the rulers of the world today and just, you know, seeing how, like, you know, these individuals are lost in their, like, who they are, their consciousness of who they are. So they're making decisions based off of that paradigm. And the results are the world that we live in. And just hearing today, you know, a ruler ruling the whole earth is like promoting like God consciousness, or to be connected to their creator, and just like the contrast of that, I'm just kind of like, I don't know, I tend to like go inward and have like visual experiences, like kind of put myself in that context of like, what would this world, this planet that we live on, like what would it be like if I was experiencing that? Like, you know, at that time, this is different. It's not in this yuga. What is it? The yugas? There's 4 yugas or something.
Yeah.
But that was in a different yuga, is that correct?
Maharaj Yudhishthira was there at the beginning of this yuga.
Oh, so it was in the beginning. So
Yeah.
that's what it kind of looked like in the beginning.
Of Kali Yuga, yeah.
Yeah, which is
Yeah,
like,
because here we are speaking about Maharaj Yudhishthira, and he was ruling, and Krishna, he was still ruling when Krishna left the planet, not for long, but even Maharaj Parikshit, who came after, he was also the emperor, and it was still happening.
yeah.
For a little while in the beginning of Kali Yuga, there was such an atmosphere of everything being centered around God, Krishna.
Yeah, and it's just like so wild to just, hear about, okay, that's history, but I never learned anything like that growing up at school. Nobody ever presented that history, time period. So I'm just kind of like, I don't know, it's just kind of, I don't know what's going on for me. I'm just kind of wanted to share.
Yeah, it seems that you're feeling like inside of you, you have images of what it means to have an emperor that rules the world with the purpose of human life in mind and the welfare of all the citizens in mind, according to the eternal Dharma.
Yeah.
And you have images of that and feeling, okay, what will I mean? Who will I be? Or how will my day-to-day life be in that circumstance? And seeing also like, I haven't even heard about that.
Yeah.
My entire life, I haven't even heard about that.
Yeah. Just like, my younger years and all that, middle age going into, just feeling like, there's got to be something more in life. What's the point of life? Just having that feeling, how committed I was to really like finding that out. That's a whole nother thing. But just like being with that like experience and like, I don't know, it just seems like it just be so much different. Like, growing up with like, this is everybody's like focused on like, our lives are to cultivate our intimate relationship with Krishna and or our creator, or whatever people want to identify with that in that sense. I don't know, just kind of.
Yeah, and whatever ruler do, everybody else does.
Yeah.
That's why like the mainstream culture, not really, but way of life is what people think is normal. And to focus on God and putting God in the middle, that's what's not normal. So we are looking at a society where things will be reversed, that whatever, like the leader do, common people follow, and what they follow is Dharma, and really focusing on fulfilling the mission of human life. And then those who are outside of that, then they get rectified too, or they find their position there. Yeah. In a sense, in history, as we learn it at school, at least, there is some remnants of that, in the Middle Age and in Europe, where the church was ruling, it was abused and was overpowered by human being greed. Still, there was that sense of the state and the church being one, and the church ruling above the state, even in history of human that we are learning in this lifetime, at least. That there was some remnants of that somewhere. Yeah. Not very inspiring remnants.
Yeah.
But some remnants left over. It's leftover. Leftover are never very attractive. And still, something that tell us, well, yeah, if we push that and we purify it and we go back, 5,000 years, then wow, that must be really ideal. Yeah.
I see someone has their hand up.
Hare Krishna, Damien Tipavu. You have your hands up.
Hare Krishna, thank you for the class. I was just had this thought come to mind, and I was wondering, like, if I'm here, in this degraded time right now, is that a reflection of my own consciousness?
What else?
That's a disturbing thought.
So it seems like you were asking question, but you were responding to. Yeah, it is. Yeah, of course. Of course, it's what I deserve. What I deserve is to take birth in, for me, 1962. For you, I don't know, 1980 or 90 or something early. And in this country called America, in this state called, Florida, and with this kind of family that you have and the culture you have around you, it's all deserved according to our action and desire from previous lives, for sure. Everything is part. When we say the body or the field of activities that we acquire due to our karma, it means everything. It just don't mean only the body. It means the body and everything that go with it. Where I'm born, the society I'm born in, what I've learned, what I'm surrounded by, what's happening on Earth, all that. We are all, responsible for the circumstance of our birth, and that's mean the circumstance, the localized circumstance of my birth, but also the global circumstance of my birth.
Sorry, my phone. So, am I upside down?
Yes.
I don't know. It's staying upside down.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yes, you're upside down. Now you're normal. But everything is upside down anyway.
That's the whole point.
Absolutely. Everything is upside down in this world. Everything that people think is night is daytime, and everything that they think is daytime is night. Yeah.
Well, I was thinking, like, I spent a lot of my teens and adulthood like pointing the finger at things that were degraded or unnatural or not aligned with the soul or truth, and then to kind of take a deeper look and say, like, I'm associated, I'm here, like I'm a part of it, and I was born in it, and I've got the conditioning I've got degraded conditioning within my consciousness, and it's like it's very humbling to think, like, I'm associated with this, like my soul is not in the its pure natural original nature. I'm here in this time where I'm pointing the finger at everything, but if I like say, oh, but what did I do to create this degraded situation, and what am I doing to perpetuate it, then it's like well, it's like painful, like and like embarrassing, and it's like there's some, I mean, I don't feel like heavy shame, but there's pain that comes with it, like, why am I a part of this,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the tendency is to always think the fault, like, we can see in our micro society of our friends or our family. When something goes wrong, we want to point the finger at them. But, because we do personal development, we can see, no, it's me, whatever I see in you is me, I project. And globally, we tend to not do that. Think, oh, that's bad, what's happening there, and that's bad, what's happening, or how it's done, or people who pollute the earth, or people, whatever. There's so many things we can take a stand for and thinking we are better, and we'll not do that. But the fact is, it's a result of a global common karma that we have created, and we are fully part of it. We are 100% part of it. And when we accept that, I believe that we can also accept that there is no material solution to material problem. Like, really see that more deeply, that me trying to work to rectify the way the wells are taken care of is not going to change anything globally, because the consciousness is not changed. As long as the consciousness that created our reality is not changed, then no change are going to take place. And so you're looking at, okay, so it should be in Kali Yoga, and in 2022, it should be very easy to be humble. If we were just look a little bit, look at our habits, look at where we live, look at the habits of, the society, look at the vegetable, what they look like, look at the water, what they look like. It should be very, very easy to come to a place of humility is like, yeah, I'm not very elevated. And then Trinadapi Sunichena, you know, like by being humbler than the blade of grass, then we can chant the holy name constantly. And then by chanting the holy name constantly, then we change the consciousness of the entire world. Yeah. Thank you, Damayanti, for your sharing. And Nandini, I see that you have your hands up.
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you for this inspiring class. And what I want to share is that, like you, so King Yudhishthir, he brought all this opulence into this, like this desert, and it's, you know, I used to think, oh, that's like a long time ago, this Vedic places, opulent and beautiful, and everyone's taken care of. And right now, like today, so I'm in India, and I visited a place which was built by a doctor who's just, he knows a lot about the Vedas, and he knows Bhagavad Gita by heart, and he built this place. It's a retreat center according to Vastu, like the architectural rules. And you're hearing me?
Yes.
And everyone is taken care of. So the house was built, and there was a tree where the perfect place for the house was. So they just arranged that the tree is still living there inside the house. And the doctor said, yeah, we couldn't cut this tree because it cries when we cut the tree. And there's an area on the piece of land, like a small forest, which is there for the snakes. That's where the snakes can live. And every animal is taken care of, every plant is taken care of, and there's so much beauty and so much opulence, and there's no lack of finances.
No scarcity. There's no scarcity because there is no exploitation. Like the mentality is not of exploitation. And without exploiting, and it's from a place of respect and abundance, then the place is abundant.
Yeah, and also the people engaged there. There's the sweepers, and there are the therapists and the doctors, and the one who takes care of the horse, and the one who takes care of the cow, and everyone's engaged according to their gifts, and everyone's protected, fully protected, and happy, satisfied. And I was thinking, wow, that's such a high culture. I always thought there's culture in Switzerland. What I experience here is just what I knew from books before.
Yeah, it seems that you're experiencing Varnashram, the Varnashram system, where everybody is properly situated according to their psychophysical nature. And as such, they feel protected and they feel secure in doing what they do, their prescribed duties. And high level of culture means high level of respect for all living being, and respect for, God's creation.
Yeah, and also you mentioned like the war, and interestingly here there are Russian people, and they invited their friends to come, and their friends are from the Ukraine, and they arrived the day the war started. And so I'm getting this, it's almost like Krishna is showing me the other side of what's possible, like the other side of what we can create than scarcity and war and disconnection and violence. And so in a way, I feel very hopeful and inspired. And then also I see the contrast, which is sad.
Very, very shocking, probably shocking, because right now you're in heaven, you're in a place where human beings live according to God's creation, according to the laws of nature, and then the contrast with place where human beings live against the law of nature is very painful. And at the same time, I hear you feel hopeful. You feel it's possible. I know because I've seen it with my own eyes.
Yeah, and I was even thinking. So here there's not a clear focus on like who is God. Everyone's very devotional to some kind of higher power. It's not, doesn't have a clear focus. And I was just
not necessarily Krishna.
Hmm?
It's not necessarily focused on Krishna.
No, and there's no kirtan, so that's missing. so what would it, yeah, what would it be like to like envision and go for a place like this that is Prabhupada centered, Krishna centered?
Yeah, like creating a society centered around Prabhupada, and Prabhupada know how to guide us to create that abundance and opulence and respect, and a place where everybody have his own place and feels secure and protected. Yeah. And that's happening, in Srila Prabhupada's movement. It is happening in many ways. And we can also dedicate our life to make it happen even more, to expand on what Srila Prabhupada gave us, to really create shelter for others, to practice Krishna consciousness peacefully.
Thank you.
Nadine is happy. I don't know why, but she's really smiling. She's happy hearing you. Hare Krishna. Thank you all. There's a chat. I don't know what the chat says.
Oh, I wrote that when you were searching for the word for Australia and New Zealand.
Oceania.
Yes.
Yeah, I think Oceania, that's the continent. That's called Oceania, I think, in French. Thank you very much. Thank you all. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everyone.